Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Spring has absolutely burst out today. We've got 74-degree temperatures, and it's caused everything to just open up and go crazy. The birds are being very active. There are spots of color appearing all over the gardens, and I'm really excited to work in my garden sketchbook today because there's so many wonderful things to select from. So let me get that out. I have some Narcissus here. I'm sorry you can't smell the scent. We don't have smell-o-vision because these are delicious. Okay, these beautiful delicate Narcissus. These are the very early blooming daffodils. And then I've also got this little miniature which grows right outside my front door. There's a beautiful little patch of these. I'm really excited that my Daphne is blooming. So this is a shrub, and this is the, let me see if I can get this where you can see it. Hold on, let me get a piece of paper and maybe it'll focus. There you go. Okay, so this is a native shrub. There are cultivars that have much more fragrance, and normally when the Daphne outside blooms, it's pretty chilly out still, and I don't often smell it. But today, I think because the temperature is so high, it's actually fragrant, which really surprised me. So I'm excited to paint that. And then I also have this. Let me see if I can let you have a good look at this. This is a twig from my Harry Lauder's walking stick shrub. And I think you can see it has this wild, contorted, curly branch on it. And this is a fabulous shrub in the wintertime when all the leaves are down and you just see these crazy spirally branches. I have this at the foot of my driveway so that every time I go in and out during the winter, I get to look at it and enjoy it. And it's doing extremely well there. It's getting humongous. But this time of year, it still has all these beautiful little catkins hanging off of it, and they all kind of move gently in the breeze. It's just beautiful. So I thought I would share that with you today as well. I'm going to continue in my sketchbook. Let me just check, make sure you can hear me. Okay, that looks like it's working. So here's my garden sketchbook, aka garden journal. This is the one that I made that has a portfolio section in it as well. And I thought today I would start a new spread. I worked on this one a little bit more. Let me just move this so you can see. So I added a little more to the bottom here, and I may or may not add some more pussy willow along the top. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to jump ahead because you know you can go back and do anything you want in your sketchbook. You can go back and continue painting on things. You can add writing, whatever you like. My thought today is that I would have my Narcissus down in the lower left corner, And then I'd have that wonderful Harry Lauder's twig sort of making its way across the top of the page, and then add some of the Daphne to fill in the areas. And I'm not going to have time to finish the sketch today, but I thought it'd be fun for you to get an idea of how I get started. Now, one thing that I really recommend to my students is to do a preliminary sketch if you're not sure exactly what you want to do. Now, the sketchbook, of course, is the place to do that, but you can also grab a little piece of scrap paper like this and just draw a rectangle and do a little quick thumbnail like I did here. And this actually is from a introduction to watercolor video that I did, which I'll talk about later, and I'll have the link below if you're interested in learning more. But just something quick and easy like this, and it doesn't even need to be. Oh, we have a guest here. Here's Sophia. See if she'll say hello to the camera. There she is. And she's all excited because of the warm weather. The doors are open, the windows are open, and she wants to go outside. So she may be bugging us today a little bit because she's really excited. These can be literally the size of a postage stamp. Just something big enough to help you to organize your thoughts, figure out your values, your color strategy, the overall design, how much space you need to leave for different things. So just as a quickie, if I think of my double spread here, something like this, and let me zoom you in so you can get a good look. So there's my 2 pages. Okay, and what I'm thinking of doing is having my daffodils down in this corner, all right, and then having my Harry Lauder sort of making its way across the top border, and then adding some Daphne in between, something like that. All right, so it can be that simple. If you choose to, you can add a little bit of shading. Just give it a little bit of thought. Plan out what it is that you're thinking of doing, and I think you'll be happier with the outcome. So I'm going to pick up one of my daffodils so I can get a good look at it. So there it is. And the first thing you notice with the daffodil is that it has 6 petals. So there are 3 kind of primary petals and 3 secondary petals. So you want to get those all going, pointing in the direction that they're growing. You've got your center cup with a little bit of a ruffle around the edges, and then deep inside there you can see the stamens and the pistil and the anthers. And then now I know you can't see this very clearly, but once I get the watercolor on there you'll be able to see it much better, so just bear with me for a moment. Now that I've got this kind of a rough sketch, I'm just going to go back into it and sort of look at the specific characteristics of each of the petals, and just make some little adjustments. They're all arranged in a different perspective, so they're not all the same. So I'm looking at each one to determine the direction that it's pointing in, whether or not it's foreshortened, and just some of the kind of obvious spots. Like right here, I'm noticing that there's a dip in the cup, so I can make note of that. And I'm not trying to copy what I'm looking at. What I'm doing is I'm just giving myself some guidelines to follow. All right, now I've got, excuse me, I've got my watercolor kit here. And I'm going to use the travel brush that I have in here. I've also got a couple of brushes in my journal that I can use as well. And I have a pipette, which is just a little sort of dropper, water dropper, and I can use that to just put a couple of drops in each of the wells of my watercolors to start getting them moist. And by the way, if you decide to get the beginner's watercolor kit with the upcoming watercolor sketching, what's it called? It's called Introduction to Watercolor Sketching class. You will get one of these pipettes with your kit for free. So that's just a little bonus. All right, so now I'm going to put my palette just, let's see, I'm gonna put it where you can see it. So let me grab a paper towel. I'm going to put this here. And the daffodil is, I don't know if you can see, but it's the petals are not white. They are the palest, most beautiful kind of a cool yellow tone. And so I want to make sure that I capture that. So because it's such a pale color, actually what I want to do is I want to clean a little place on my palette so I don't get a muddy color. There we go. I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow, and then using a wet brush with plenty of water, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that color and just kind of wash it over. I'm going to be looking at my specimen as I go. One of the wonderful things about watercolor is that you can sketch very quickly with it. Okay, it doesn't require a lot of setup, it doesn't require a lot of equipment. You just open up your sketchbook, open up your paint box, and you're basically ready to go. So there is, and let me see if I can zoom that in so you can see it better. Move this out of the way. There, I think you can see that better now. So just a couple of, a quick sketch and a couple of brush strokes, and I'm already on the way. And if I look closely into the center of this flower, I can see that there's a little bit of a greenish throat. So let's add a little tiny bit of my blue to my yellow. I'm going to mix up a very light, bright green. And I'm just going to drop that in there. And then what I want to do is I want to indicate some of the pleats and the ruffles in the petals. So for that, I'm going to mix up a kind of a neutral tone. I'm just kind of mixing up my red, yellow, and blue all together. In this case, it's sort of leaning towards a gray violet. And using plenty of water, I'm just going to use my brush to sort of sketch those areas. So if you look at your daffodil, you'll see that there is a main kind of center ridge. Now, the way I'm positioned here in my studio is that I have a north light skylight, so that the light is coming in from the left-hand upper corner, and so I'm reflecting that in the way that I paint the shadows on my petals. Okay, so there we go. So that's started. Now, the cup of the Narcissus is darker, a darker yellow. So I can increase the value by just adding a little more paint to those areas where it's darker. And I'm also being careful to keep the light side, which is over on the left, a little bit lighter. And if I add a tiny bit of red to my yellow, I'm going to get a deeper yellow. And the paper's still wet, so that color is just kind of running into the paint that's already there, which is great. I can help that along a little bit. And as I look at this, I think I can make that green a little bit darker. So you can make your adjustments as you go. I'm going to add a little more green to the center of my flower. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add the stem. So I'm mixing up a slightly stronger mixture of my yellow and blue, and I can use that to just indicate a portion of the stem. And because I'm right on the edge of the paper, I'm just going to let that fade away and just fade off. There it goes. And then if you look at your daffodil, you'll see that it has this wonderful dried up bit of membrane that was the outside of the bud that still persists. So that's a great opportunity to grab a little bit of your yellow ochre, or your, in this case it's raw sienna, so I can just drop a little bit of that tonality in there to indicate that color change. All right, so I'm halfway done now, just about finished. What I want to do now is I want to take some of that neutral mixture that I made and mix it a little bit darker, and I'm going to use this to just add a couple of accents where the petals are kind of overlapping one another. like that. Go back into the cup of my flower. Now this might be a little bit damp, but we'll give it a try. I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush out. And what I'm going to do is mix up some of my yellow mixture and that neutral mixture. That's going to give me a darker tone that I could use to indicate some of the ruffles here on the inside of the trumpet shape. I'm just drawing with the brush, so just as you would with a pencil, except that I'm drawing with the brush and a little bit of color. And I think I'm making minute adjustments now, so I think this could be a little bit darker over on the shadow side here. So I add just a couple of touches. And as I'm adding this, I'm also looking at the shape that the trumpet is making. And then I can just let that kind of fade off into the light. And that's going to give me a nice cast shadow. Just like so. There we go. All right, so that is how I would begin. And of course you can paint as little or as much as you would like, or what time allows for. And then of course I'm going to continue, and I'm going to be adding more of the flowers and that border going across the top. And if I have time this coming Sunday, I'm going to come back for Silent Sunday and show you what I've done. But I'll let you know as the time gets closer to that if I'm going to be able to do that. So I'm going to just move this out of the way and give you a close-up look. See if I can zoom in. So there's the start to my daffodil. Okay, and I want to remind you that I'm going to be announcing this weekend the Introduction to Watercolor Sketching class. So if you're someone who's just getting started and you'd like to learn more about how to get started watercolor sketching, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a little landscape like this. Okay, this particular one I used as a note card, as you can see here. So there it is. And the watercolor sketching video tutorial also comes with a bonus tutorial of introduction to watercolor painting, where I show you my full kit, different materials, how to get started. I have a whole list of things here. So you have a tools and materials list, why paint with watercolor. You get $10 off the watercolor kit if you need a little water kit of your own when you sign up for the class. And I also show you some examples of different homemade watercolor sketchbooks that you can make that, like this one, you have the ability to put loose paintings as well as have your bound journal, and then you have another pocket in the back. I'm really running out of room here, so let's zoom that out. There we go. All right, well, I hope that gave you some ideas, and I just want to remind you once again, please subscribe to Notes from DandelionCottageDesign.com, because that is how I announce all of my classes and workshops, and so you want to be on that mailing list. I don't send out a lot of emails, just as the classes and the workshops are, the registration is opened, and it's the only way that you can register for one of the workshops. So please subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and I will have all of that information below in the description so that you can just click on that and do that. And you also get a little video that will give you a little more information. So I hope you get outside, do some painting, enjoy this beautiful day. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.